earlier, what's been your most significant lessons learned so far? What kind of advice would you give to other local authorities looking to undertake similar kind of projects to tackle social isolation?
I think one of the key pieces of learning is around provision of a person-centered device. It's very easy for us to just roll out a bit of technology that's connected, which has got a whole bunch of apps on it that could do everything and anything for that end user in any scenario, as an example. That was probably where we were first starting from. However, conversations with potential end users and testing the devices with simulators for arthritis, as an example, and for glaucoma, to try and make sure that interface worked in as many scenarios as possible, and to reduce that level of applications or that level of services on the device to a level that's tailored to that individual. So one individual might want a puzzle to help hand-to-eye coordination. Another one might prefer the WebEx team app to connect with friends and relatives, or a mix and match of community-based applications. There's a really good application called Friends that people can connect to and share how they're feeling and combat those feelings of loneliness. So it's around devising the end solution, not as a sort of one-size-fits-all, but one that's centered on the individual at the end of the device, and making sure they're comfortable and they trust the device, and that they feel as though it's a polished, quality piece of work.
So if I can just share my own 2 cents in this piece. So a charity that I volunteer for called Good Gym. I don't know if you've heard of this at all. Yeah, so they're set up in most of the London boroughs, and they've started to expand across the UK. But it was originally set up 10 years ago with the goal of tackling isolation amongst elderly people. So the idea behind it was that, lots of people like running, but rather than you just going up for a run just for the sake of it, you would go for a run to an elderly person who perhaps doesn't see many people on a regular basis. So you'd run to them, you'd have a conversation, you'd have a cup of tea, maybe they'd be there for half an hour or an hour, and then you'd run back. So not only have you've gotten fit by doing your run, but you've also really helped out someone who perhaps wouldn't have someone to talk to on a regular basis. And so now it's expanded beyond just like the coaching is what that aspect of it was, and now they have group runs where on a weekly basis, maybe 10 or 20 runners will get together. You run to a community task. It might be helping out an allotment, it might be doing some painting at a community centre, and then you run back. And I know that this whole charity was set up with the basis of sort of tackling this growing challenge, and having been a part of it, it's been a really rewarding experience. I've gotten fitter, and I feel better about things in the community that I live in.
Just listening to you, Will, there is something about this fundamental design of places around tackling social isolation. We've been talking today about some of the ways of dealing with it, and how technology supports that. I was talking the other day about, and it's one of the universities that part of their halls of residence campus is to include frail and elderly incorporation into that on the ground floor. It's a 3-floor building. The top 2 floors are students, and part and parcel of their responsibility, and they sign up to the responsibility, is they're team tagged to an individual. So when they, off lectures, or when they're talking about their everyday life and drinks and all the rest of it, they buddy up with an individual on the ground floor. And it's just some practical, sensible things like that, keeping, and both ways, learning both ways. That's the sort of thing that we want to encourage in tandem with the technology rollout.
It sounds very similar to the Care and Share initiative, where a young student will live with an old person, and they will both, the young person might cook for the older person, and then they'll get significantly reduced accommodation, which could be perfect in London and Birmingham, where that accommodation is very, very expensive. But it's a very, very good model.
So my brother is going to be finally moving out of my parents' house, and that is one of the things he looked at, moving in with an elderly person, because the rent is significantly lower than you
Yeah.
pay if you were renting a place by yourself.
You're fixing the loneliness problem as well.
Yeah, you're fixing two problems at once.
And as an education layer on this too, you've probably seen the Channel 4 programme where we had elderly folks going into local schools and running reading and literature classes for 4 and 5 year olds, enhancing the kind of overall learning experience.
Yeah.
And these are the different layers that I think can need to be brought into play in tackling social isolation in the round. Technology's definitely got a role in that, but there's also these kind of place-based community initiatives that hopefully will reduce social isolation, on a permanent basis.